Children are way more clever than adults give them credit for. Children can learn really, really quickly, and they model, they copy. So schools often, a lot of the brightest people are held back by schools. Steve Jobs is a good example, dropped out. Albert Einstein's a good example. Albert Einstein was considered by his professor to be a dull student and nothing much would come of him, and he couldn't even get a job as a school teacher the year he wrote the theory of relativity. So it's an example, and the same with Steve Jobs. He could never have done what he did with the beautiful integrated operating system behind Apple if he'd stayed inside the university, because he would have lost a lot of the creativity and a lot of the drive, because he would have been required to conform.
A bunch of templates, a bunch of blueprints, everything else, including all the dimensions, all the consciousness, all the emotional realms, all the mental realms, everything is all constructed on these templates. So the universe is really a thought.
Who did that?
Well, that's the big question, where you put the question mark. You have collectives of consciousness, so humanity is a collective of consciousness. Eventually, humanity becomes what ends up being humanity, becomes a unified humanity. And that unified humanity joins together with other unified collectives.
Yeah.
I'll use a famous term by the Ra channeling source, Law of Run. A soul memory complex is the way they term a whole society that's unified. So then you join with another whole society which is unified from somewhere else, and then you join together as collectives of them. And the creative potential of those is beyond any person's imagination, but eventually you create larger and larger, longer lasting scenarios.
We're divine beings in physical manifestation. I believe this being Satan, I've mentioned. Where does that word come from? Satan is an anagram of Sanat. Sanat Kumara. He's the oldest firstborn son of Brahma. This comes from the ancient Vedic knowledge. And Sananda Kumara is the second-born. And if you fit that with the Judaic idea, Lucifer is the firstborn, Michael is the second-born. It's the same story of the two brothers, the elder brother and the younger brother. So I believe that they create the spectrum of duality in which we grow and learn. We're tempted to be good by Michael, by Jesus. We're tempted to be bad by Lucifer, by Jehovah. And you know, neither one nor is good nor bad. It's like in Bali, they have the checkered white and black flag. Good and evil are a duality for learning, for progress.
In the perverse occult belief system of those who think they're the rightful rulers of the planet, they do actually have to tell us what they're going to do. It doesn't mean to say they put it on the front page of the most sort of popular red top paper, but it means that somewhere out there, the script has to be available. And then it's up to the individuals whether or not they go seek it out.
Wow, so it's to do almost with this free will thing.
Yes. And that's what a gift.
I like that. Oh, wow.
Both shoulders.
Oh, wow. Part of the game here on planet Earth is free will, free choice.
Yes.
So they cannot push it upon us. We have to have known it before they do it, and then have consented by not stopping it.
So the three most powerful tools that these entities have are all in our control. That is our apathy, our abdication, and our willful ignorance, cognitive dissonance. And in their belief system, the most powerful tool there is abdication, because abdication means that we've got a pretty good idea what it is they're going to do, and we choose, even though we know, to ignore it.
Humanity is the hare sleeping under the tree, and the New World Order, or the conspiracy, if you want to call it, and the psychopathic scumbags are the tortoise, and they're nearly at the finish line. They've almost got everything that they need in order to dominate humanity forever in an irresistible global dictatorship. We've got all the mass surveillance, we've got all of that.
I think it's wrong of any politician to take away the public's seat at the table of government and say, you'll simply have to trust us. And you know what? It's not in the public interest to know about these programs.
Humanity's only just waking up under the tree and thinking, oh my God, I've better get a run on because that tortoise is going to reach the finish line. That's where we're at right now. We're really, really far behind, but we're moving really, really quickly. The New World Order is really far ahead, but their progress is slow, and their progress is getting slower and slower.
They're having a tough time right now, the people who want to dumb us down and control and kill us. It's not going according to plan.
You either have constructive wave interference or destructive wave interference. So destructive wave interference cancels itself out. Scenario, 4 bank robbers combine their forces to go in and rob the bank, and they achieve their what they want to do by combining their forces to do that. They get out of the bank, each has got an own agenda to shoot the other and take all the money. It's just how they work and how they think. So that's destructive interference. It cancels itself out. There's no need to even pay attention to it. It's going to cancel itself out.
We have the Julian Assanges and Edward Snowdens of this world coming out and revealing government documents, and people really like that kind of thing because it has tangibility. There's an actual document. This actually happened. It's not somebody's theory, this is real. And they have admitted absolutely everything that they're doing in this document. So therefore, it's really going on, and only somebody who refuses to believe it will be able to deny it. And it's that simple refusal to believe something that is really challenging to your current worldview and perception, that's called cognitive dissonance.
I view my job as a journalist to hold accountable and to provide a check on those who wield the greatest power. And the way that that is done, in my view, most properly is by scrutinizing and investigating the claims that government officials make, rather than just mindlessly and uncritically repeating them. If you want to mindlessly and uncritically repeat government claims, you should go work for the government as a government spokesperson.
Those who think they're the rightful rulers know that humanity is actually evolving this capability and this capacity to extend their thought process beyond the matrix.
So it's gone out of hand. The experiment
Yes.
that started grew and grew and grew. We've multiplied richly, and now we're evolving to a point that we're starting to remember who we actually are. So then the next step is those that think they're the rightful rulers are doing something to stop this.
Well, they've been doing it for quite some time, but they've certainly accelerated the agenda greatly in the last 100+ years.
People are waking up. The power of consciousness is huge. As soon as people realize that they have the power, then the rollback begins, and it has already begun. There's a huge pushback going all over the place in every possible dimension. And this is really exciting stuff.
This is exciting.
Yeah, I know.
The unfolding universe is a real-time, self-consciously developing something or other. And so it wants to further that progress. So it creates fractal versions of itself, smaller ones, realizing that those versions of itself eventually form together in groups, and the potential that those groups can then put into practice is as yet unknown, and that creates more beauty, and so it goes on. So at some point in the past on these different planets and these different solar systems, there came a moment when there was an era which was like the era of decision making, and X number of people from each of those places decided to go towards a more positive evolution. Others decided to take a more negative tangent, and then a whole heap of them from each of these places didn't decide either positive or negative. So when they died, they had to, or they were attracted to come to another place or another scenario which was just sort of setting up itself so they could re-experience that same sort of era or that same sort of pattern over so many thousands of years. And so they were attracted to come here and experience once again the opportunity to get to a point like 2012 where they could then once again make a decision whether they were going to choose negative future or positive future or not choose at all. And then if they died, then they go elsewhere and do the same thing again.